Hello and welcome to this satsang in English for the first time. Here we will discuss topics related to spiritual matters. And the regular satsang in Hindi will now be held from Saturday, on every Saturday at 7 a.m. हिंदी का सत्संग सुबह 7 बजे शनिवार को होगा. So we will discuss spiritual matters here, and there are some questions which have come up. And in case some other questions are there, please feel free to ask. As well as this is not a regular satsang on Friday. It will be done only as and when it is required. So some of the questions which have already come, let me post it here. In the meantime, the seekers who have already joined, if they have any question, they may ask as and when they feel like, and give their comments or remarks uh, as and when it is required. So the first question, they can you can speak also, because this is not very formal. This is very informal group, and whosoever wants to share their experiences or their have their any comments on whatever I am speaking, or you want to add on something, please feel free. So Praveen has one few questions. One is that, so he has written Sakshi Bhav. So in English we call Sakshi Bhav as awareness. So awareness is not an experience but remembrance that I am unmanifest experiencer. Is this correct? See, when you say remembrance, so remembrance also is an experience. So you have written that awareness is not an experience, whereas awareness is also an experience. See, what is awareness? Awareness is that I am the experiencer. This knowledge is awareness. So if whenever there is a knowledge, it will always be an experience. So awareness, howsoever beautiful it may be, howsoever I mean desirable it may be for the seekers, but still it is an experience. We have to remember this, that please don't confuse the word awareness with the word awareness, which is generally used in English language as consciousness sometimes. Here, awareness is a very special ability to know that I am the experiencer. That knowledge itself is awareness, and that will be seen while you act in the whole world, and which will be useful for taking decisions, and it just brings in light whatever actions are being taken. So that is awareness. And remembrance of the true nature is also called awareness. So it is an experience that I am an unmanifest experiencer. Although we say the experiencer is unmanifested, but whatever is also the experiencer. So there is in the ultimate knowledge of non-duality, experiencer and experience are not two, they are not different. So in that sense, when we say experiencer is both unmanifested as well as whatever is manifested is also a experiencer is experiencing itself, we can say in poetical language. So is this accompanied by experience of just presence, just impersonal being, isness? Yes, you can say that. If we say that awareness is the knowledge of the self, my true nature, the experiencer, then what does it mean in real words? How can we translate into what we see in day-to-day experiences? So it will be being, that I exist, and isness, the presence, whatever you call. These words are just an indication of who you really are, which cannot be bound by any words, which cannot be put into words. There are two ways of knowledge. One is that knowledge which is expressed through the words. Other is the knowledge which is illuminating the words, which is beyond the words. So that knowledge that is present everywhere, we can, I mean, whenever, even if you are deep asleep, as soon as you get up sometime in the night, you know that you exist. So that existence is called presence. That is the beauty of your being, that which is always there. So that is called awareness, which is even illuminating the words. The words cannot have any meaning on their own. It needs the awareness or the uh, consciousness which is there, which can give meaning to the word. And each word can have different meaning at different context. So words themselves does not mean anything. You can call it presence, beingness, isness, whatever. But the important part is that what is it that is knowing the words? What is it that is giving meaning to these words? That is the experiencer. It is not doing anything. It is not engaging in any activity, but it is mere witness, just seeing that things are happening, whatever is present and is presented to it at the time when the experience happens. So you can say that the experience of just presence or impersonal being or isness is awareness. Now here is another interesting question from Praveen, that let us take a flower, a human being, a dog, and a pigeon are looking at it. Each will have a different experience of color of the flower because dogs are almost colorblind. Pigeons have much richer experience due to their brain structure. So mind of each of them is instrumental in color experience of the same flower. Now what is the role of experiencer here? It can't be a global field like entity observing three different experiences of flower. That does not make sense. How is it doing mere observing on above example? So what I can understand from it is that a flower can appear as different to different beings. Like he has given example of dogs are almost colorblind, so they won't be able to see the variety in the colors in the flower. And pigeons have much richer color experience, and being will have a different experience. Now the point is that who is you are as a experiencer, not as an experiencer, as a mind of a human being. You are imagining what will be the experience of a pigeon or a dog or other human beings. But who is whether the mind can experience itself? If that is the question I ask, maybe some of the seekers who are present here, does the mind have has the ability to experience itself? And what is mind? If we elaborate or deliberate more on that, then the answer or the question will get very clear that where is the problem in the question. Because there are different human beings who are, one is color blind, other is not. So they will also have different experience. And depending on their mental state, they may have experience of same thing in a different manner. So Mira is saying no, mind is also an experience. Very right. So mind cannot be experiencing the mind. It is I mean, irrelevant. It is not correct to say that mind can experience itself. So, what is it that is experiencing the mind? So, that is the experiencer. Now, when we say that one flower is there and it is being experienced in three different forms, three different patterns by one pigeon or a dog or a human being, it is always the mind, the local memory which is being experienced. When you experience a flower, what is it that you are experiencing? Is it the flower itself that is being experienced? The color? What is color? The color is a reflection of the light which falls on the flower, and it falls on the retina where it gets converted into electric signal, and that electric signal is transferred through neurons which goes to the brain. And this is a scientific gap there that the brain cannot decipher. I mean, it is not known to the science that how that electric signal is converted into a image. Same with the sound, the pressure waves which fall on the ear, which is eardrums, which is very hair-like structures are there. So they vibrate, and that pressure energy is converted into electrical energy. Now that electrical energy is transferred, transmitted through So eardrums are like transducers which convert pressure energy into electrical energy, and that electrical energy is transmitted through neurons to the brain. And from brain, again, that brain converts that electrical energy into sound. Now, here again is a science gap in the scientific knowledge, that how what is there in the brain which converts electrical energy into the sound. Now, this thing cannot be known. You can, try and find the answer to it. It is not available because there is nothing in the brain which can convert a transducer type of a device which converts electric signal into either a image or a sound or a touch or a smell or a taste. And they categorize those things and various parts of the brain. They store it there. So it is a very complex mechanism. So ultimately, even the electric signal is not being experienced. It is the mind itself which is being experienced. So what is the gap between the one which is experiencing the mind and the experiencer? So you see, when you see the red, you become the red. This is a very famous quote. I like it very much, which Guruji has said. So it is very beautiful that when you see the red, you become the red. Same way, when you see a flower, you become the flower. Now it is not possible for us. We are, as a mind, it is imagining that what would be the experience of a dog, what is the experience of a pigeon or other creatures, or even the other human beings. So that is it not an experience? So we can put it under different experiences. What is flower? I mean, when you see the moon, then only it is there. This cannot be said. And if we are not seeing the moon, it is not there. That is also not right. So what is the answer? Can anybody, I mean, tell their views on this? That what is the answer? Whether the flower exists when we see it, and when we don't see it, the flower doesn't exist. Any views on that? Anybody can speak also if they prefer. See, we can see it from a non-dual perspective also. That how is it that the seer is the seen? What is the logic behind saying this? Is it Does it make any sense that how can the experiencer be the experienced, observer is the observed, or the seer is the seen? How can they be one? So let me only try to answer this. Suma has said everything is there. When we see it, we will become that. Very right. So when you are seeing the flower, it is not that when you don't see the flower, it will vanish. But the point is, when you see the flower, still at that time also it is not there. So how it is being said that how it is being observed if it is not there? Again, you have to go slightly deeper into understanding the what experience is. Experience is just a signal which is light. And what is light? Again, light is being experienced as very subtle thing in the mind, and mind is being experienced. So it is only the mind that is being experienced. So how can we hear sounds in the dreams? See, there's no one speaking in the dream, right? But we hear the sounds in the dream. How is it possible? It is possible because the mind is being experienced. Same way, when we see the flower, it is not the flower, it is the light which is being experienced as a sight. It is the sound, again, a wave which is being experienced. Now, where it is being experienced, a grosser thing cannot experience a subtle thing, or a subtle thing cannot experience a grosser thing. They have to be at the same level. So, if experiencer is subtler than the mind, then it cannot experience the mind. So, experiencer is experiencing itself. So, therefore, it creates an image of the flower when it experiences the flower. So it is a very subtle thing which is there in the mind, and that is being experienced by the experiencer. And as we go subtle, there is no boundaries. So there are no boundaries in the experiencer also. There are no divisions in the experiencer. I hope it is clear, or if somebody has any other view, to you may please speak up. He has said that what is the role of experiencer here? Experiencer does not have any role. It is just a witness. So there is no role which is being played by the experiencer. Now let us come to the next question, which is experiencing is a complex activity, including perception of qualities as well as assigning meaning to the percept within network of learned concepts. All this is done by mind. This additional experiencer is, in my humble opinion, a legacy of Purusha and Prakriti, split of Sankhya darshan, which considered mind as jada and Purusha as experiencer. An alternative theoretical model can be created, which takes mind as experiencer, localized plus universal mind. To say experiencer is experiencing from multiple point of views, make it similar to mind. It has to know about colors, names, forms, everything that mind does, anyways. So, what Praveen is trying to say is that we are introducing one more concept of experiencer, which is similar to Purusha. So, even if we do not introduce this concept of experiencer, there will still be another way of understanding or model could be that it is only mind which is experiencing, because we can call it universal mind or localized or plus the universal mind is experiencing everything. Now, here the assumption is that you are assuming that the mind is experiencing, whether you call it Purusha or you call it Shiva or you call it experiencer or you call it self, they all are just indicating towards that which cannot be known. So the ultimate answer is that it is unknowable. The essence, whatever you are experiencing, the essence of that is unknown. That is unknowable. Whosoever is experiencing, we call it experiencer or self or Purusha or Atman or whatever word you give it, the essence of that is also not known. And therefore, existence is only experiencer and the experiences. So, the essence of existence is also not known. You can call it is not known, or we can say it is emptiness, shunya. They are the same. They are again different words. But what is it? Just see your own experience. Don't believe in what is being said by someone or what is written in some scriptures. What is your experience right now, right here? The mind cannot be divided into different minds. That is not very logical. And mind cannot experience itself. And what is being experienced is mind. So mind falls under the category of experience. Therefore, whether you call it local mind or you call it universal mind, still both are under the category of experiences. And therefore, experiencer will stand one step behind the mind. And therefore, we can't say that if you put up a different model, that is all fine. You can make your own model and try to understand it logically. Anyway, whatever models have been created in your experiences also by Guruji are again models. The word model is there to know what is the experience, to know the whole process, that how the experiences are happening. Therefore, the concept of vibrations and irreducibles and senses are created. And it gives answers very logically to all the questions which can come into the mind. So mind gets settled. It gets settled into its own self. And when the mind is settled, when it is at rest, then only the knowledge can be grasped. Then only the words are given to the meaning. Then only the confusion which is created by different words will be removed. Then only you will know who you are, not by listening to someone, not by reading from somewhere, but by by your own. going deep within yourself, the answers will come. And those answers will be more genuine rather than taking answers from anybody. So, whatever you are saying, in my view, whether we take Sankhya or other philosophies or non duality or whatever, Buddhism, Vedant, whatever, they are all speaking about the one essence, which is experiencer. You can call it Purusha. Because what is Purusha? The how the senses are being experiences, how the mind is being experienced, how the experiences are happening. There is something which is in the experiences, which is there in the senses, but it is not the senses. Therefore, the senses can be experienced. Therefore, the body can be experienced. Therefore, the mind can be experienced. Therefore, the states can be experienced. Different states like waking, dream, or sleep, deep sleep, or projected states. How can they be experienced? Because there is something which is in those states, but it is beyond those states, which is flowing in these states, but it is not, it remains ever untouched by these states, these senses, this body, this mind. So, if that which is experiencing these changing phenomena, if that changes, then how can the change be noticed? How can the experience happen ever? Therefore, it has to be changeless. But if it is so subtle that it is changeless, it cannot be experienced. If it becomes can be experienced, then it no longer remains an experiencer. So here the problem comes, which is the next question from Amit also, that how can this be? At one time we say that experiencer is cannot be experienced, and it cannot be experienced, therefore it cannot be an experience. But in the end, in the non-duality, we say that experiencer and experiences are one. So there is a dilemma. Anyway, let us come to the Praveen's question. So whatever you say, whether you say it is mind or Purusha, not Purusha, mind or any changing phenomena, that all comes under the experience of under the category of experience. Whereas the experiencer or Purusha or the witness is different from the experience. So there is nothing in the name. We You can call it anything, but you have to see what is being pointed to. If that is grasped, then this confusion of words will be eliminated. And you will be able to see that whether you call it Purusha or you call it experiencer or self or witness, it is pointing towards the same thing. So it is not very useful to adopt to different philosophies. You can pick up words from different philosophies, but when you read a philosophy, go deep into the whole thing and try to adopt the same words which is being spoken by the guru or the philosophy, whatever meanings have been given or ascribed to those words, then the knowledge can be transmitted. So Amit has similar question on experience and experiencer, that I'm stuck with this thought that what that which changes can be experienced. This is very true. Experience is not real, and we say experience is the experiencer. So he is now coming to the level of non-duality, that experience is the experiencer and experience is not real. Then does experiencer also becomes non-real? So anybody who will like to comment on this, that how can it happen that experience is unreal and it is changing, and at the same time another sentence we say that experience and the experiencer are one. So that means experiencer is also changing. That means experiencer is also not real. Any views on this? How can two contradictory statements be said at the same time, at the same breath? Once we say that experiencer is non-changing, at the same time we say experiencer and experience are one. Therefore, the experience itself become changing because experience is changing and they are one with experience. Anyone will like to briefly
If
comment on this or speak? Yeah,
if I may add, this is Andy.
yeah, please go ahead.
I think when we're looking at these things, we're looking at it from, if you're looking at things from a point of view of duality, but when we're moving to a non-dual state, or non looking at things from a non-dual perspective, then we will find these kind of you'll find that everything is the same. Everything there is just one at the core of it. Everything is one, and so these contradictions will only exist depending on which perspective you're actually looking at things from. And if at the core of it everything is one, then clearly at that level there is no contradiction. Everything is the same. The essence of everything is the same. But the moment you actually go into duality, or you start looking at things from an egoic perspective, you start seeing some paradoxes, you start seeing some contradictions, and then you start wondering, well, how is it possible that experience is an illusion? It's always changing, but at the same time, the experiencer is changeless. It is always it's internal, etc. So I think it is very important to note which perspective you're looking at things from. That's just my thoughts.
Thank you so much, Andy, for clarifying it. I 100% agree with what you have said. See, you are absolutely right. We are mixing up different levels when we say that experiences are changing, and at the other sentence, we say experiences are one with the experiencer. So, as you have rightly mentioned, that the truth is one. I mean, if we have to talk about absolute truth, although it should not be said truth because we know truth is being defined in a by a criteria. But let me put it that the essence is one, and which is that no, of non-duality, of experiencing. There is no division in experiencing of experience and the experiencer, or we can say there is no division in existence of that there is a separate experience and there is a separate experiencer. They are one, but that cannot be grasped by any newcomer or a person who has just started his spiritual journey. So, or whose mind is not settled to such an extent that it can see that how can so much varieties we see in the whole world, how can it be said that it is one? So that if that is not understood, if that is not grasped, then to pacify the mind, to appease the mind, a model is created. And what is that model? The model is of duality. So in first level we say there is an experience and there is an experiencer, and they are two different things. But again, I love this example by Guruji of ocean. The depth of the ocean is the experiencer, and the waves are the experiences. So when the waves know that they are the part of the ocean, then where is the difference between the experience and the experiencer? When does the ocean claims that all waves are mine? When does the ocean say that the waves are not different from each other? But are they different? They are one and the same. They are all water, be it the depth of the ocean, or be it the waves on the ocean, or be it the body of the ocean, or be it a drop in the ocean. So all are one, and they all are water. The essence is water. So for understanding purpose, we say one wave is different from the bubbles which are coming on the wave, or one wave is different from the other waves which are there in the ocean. But once the mind is settled, because mind itself is an experience, then you say there is only existence, or there is only experiencing, or there is only non-duality, or there is only oneness. There is no division as such between experience and experiencer. So you very rightly said, Andy, that this division is just to make the mind get some answers, because in in the essence, in the existence, in the experiencing, there are no words to explain it. So how can it be explained to a person who is who has not come to that understanding? I'm not saying that anybody has to believe that there is only experiencing or there is non-duality. But you see what is there. I mean, it is just your own experience and logic which are to be used, not the scriptures or the guru's words anywhere. We don't have to believe in what guru is saying. We have to see what is happening in front of you. If you can't make can't understand this. I mean, if some people have a difficulty in understanding the level of oneness or non-duality, there's no problem. You don't have to push yourself to believe it. Just keep it aside for a while. Just focus on the pure basic knowledge, which is that I am not what being experienced. Now this is half truth, and this is the first step to move towards non-duality. And I think Amit is slightly confused of because of this, that he's mixing two levels, and there are further down levels also. I mean, it's not ending at two levels. First level is level of non-duality. The second level is level of duality, where there are difference between experience and experiencer. And at this level of duality, we say experiencer cannot be experience, and experience cannot be the experiencer. But then there is a level of vibrations, the level of Maya or illusion, where we say the level of Karan Sharir, I don't know what is causal body, or then there is level of subtle body, or we say projected states. Then there is level of ego when it identifies with the physical body. Then there is a level of the whole world where there is only variety. Here, if you go and tell somebody that no, the tree is same as a stone, they will throw stones at you. I mean, if you don't go to that understanding that what is being spoken, just a sentence or a word or a prophecy given or a sentence given by a knowledgeable, wise person that everything is one, does not make any sense to a common person. So, what to do? I mean, if you have to even make it understand to a seeker, you have to give the whole background. You just can't say that whatever the seer is the seen can't be explained by a single sentence. The new person who is into the spirituality will not understand what is being spoken. That he will say, I'm seeing the waterfall. How can I be the waterfall? The waterfall is different and I am different. How can a horse be the waterfall? Now, this needs to be, explained in a very detailed manner in case he is interested. Otherwise, he will just either believe it in a blind faith sort of a thing if he have a faith in the teacher, or he will he will throw it as rubbish that he I don't know what these people are speaking, they are crazy. But the answer is somewhere in between. That let us try to understand again in a different perspective whether the mind can experience the mind. What is mind? Mind is a collection of thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations. What else is mind? Memory. What else is mind? It is just a collection of these variety of, although we say it as variety of things like thoughts, but is it not in a dream? A single thought is being experienced at everything. Let me elaborate what I'm saying. That it is thought which appears as sound in the dream. Who is speaking in the dream? It is a thought which is appearing as a person in a dream. It is a thought which is appearing as an emotion in a dream. Is it not a thought? Is it not a simple thought which is manufacturing or rather creating variety of it, like we say desires, that whatever you desire will appear in the dreams. How it appears? Is desire not a thought? So if we just, I mean, expand this thought into the waking state, is it not possible that a single thought, a very big, magnificent thought, is being experienced as variety in the waking state? Now, in between two thoughts, there is a gap. So, if Are you not there in that gap? Are you not experiencing the absence of thought? If you are not there, how one thought can be connected with the other thought? How is it possible for one thought to know the other thought? So you see that, I mean, you have to go deep to understand this. Not just, it is not a thing of, I mean, cannot be taken lightly in the sense that I'm just speaking for the sake of speaking. If you have not agreeing, if anybody is not agreeing, you can please express your views so that either the person who is speaking about it will change his view. Okay, yes, I was wrong. Or you will try to get a different perspective. And you have to keep your mind to the most, it is like a pond. If the pond is very, I mean, there are so many waves in the pond, the bottom of the pond will not be visible. Same way, if there is a lot of restlessness in the mind, it cannot see its own source. How can the mind see its own source? Is it ever possible? How can the river which is flowing away from the source can know what the source of the river is? So a mind cannot know its source. The thought cannot know who is knowing the thought. Same way, the experience and experiencer are said explained in different manners. One is that at the level of duality, this distinction will always be there. That experiencer, if experienced, cannot be the experiencer. And if experience is experienced, then it is experience. Whereas experience cannot be the experiencer and experiencer cannot be the experience. This is true in the level of duality. And below it, it is true that whatever illusion is appearing is different. You can't say that a train is same as me and I go and stand in front of the train and nothing will happen. So that is distortion of the logic. Yes, it is different. Like it is different in the dream. You can't eat a real banana in the dream, right? You have to eat the dream banana in the dream to satisfy the dream hunger. And the dream person who is getting satisfied in the dream can only be happy if it gets what it wants as a dream object, not as a real object. So the whole world is left when we are dreaming. The whole dream is left when we are sleeping in deep sleep. And all these three states, what are they? I am flowing in all these three states. I means the experiencer. And I'm not any one of these states. So whether these states are existing as they are appearing to be, if they are existing as they are appearing to be, they should never disappear. How can the waking state disappear in dream? How can the dreams disappear in waking state? And how can the waking and dreaming disappear in the deep sleep? So, and what is the common thread which knows all these three differences in the states? Had there been no states, I don't think it would have been possible for the humankind to understand the experience and experiencer as one. So I believe it makes it clear. But Amit has next part of it. As we say experiencer, then there must be something other than experiencer. And if we talk about non-duality, then experiencer also should not exist. Or we will have to say something, everything is the experiencer. Yes, here you are right that when we talk about non-duality, we say that experiencer and experience both are, I mean, both have become one and both are present. Both are absent and both are present. So this cannot be explained in words again. This cannot be comprehended by the intellect. Or else, if you have to understand it from the perspective what you are saying, which is also true, that everything is experiencer. Because we say that essence of existence is experiencer, which is also true. Because what you find is that experiencer is non-changing and experiences are changing. So whatever is changing cannot be said to be the essence. Therefore, in existence, only these two are found. One is the experience, other is experiencer. So, if we find that what is the essence of the existence, we have to accept that the experiencer is the essence of existence. And that is true in other way also, that experiencer is subtle. Like, even if gross thing like earth, it is one. Like, if you go to the ocean, it doesn't mean the earth has ended in the ocean. It is, if you go below the, at the depth of the ocean, the earth will be there. So earth is a continuous substratum. Similarly, water is one. Similarly, air is one. There are no divisions. Then uh, the sky is one. And finally, the mind is subtler than the sky. So the mind cannot have divisions. And the experiencer is even subtler than the mind. So how can there be any division in the experiencer? So if in from that logic also, if we try to explore, there are no divisions in the experiencer, and in that respect, we find experiencer is the essence, or the uh, everything that exists is also the experiencer, because it is so subtle that whatever is happening at the level of experiencer, and without experiencer doing anything or being involved in it in any manner, any such manner. Like, again, the analogy from dream is very useful here, that the person you think you are in the waking state is not doing anything in the dream. It is just whatever is happening in the dream state is a projection of the memory, and that memory is again experienced in the waking state, and that memory is also being experienced in the dream state. So when you wake up, the earlier memory before you slept comes up, and therefore you can recognize that that was a dream. Otherwise, there was no way that you could have said that the dream is unreal. The only way we say dream is unreal is the earlier memory of the waking state comes up. So that differentiates between the dream and the waking states. But you know the difference is there. So in that sense, also, everything what is created in the dream is also your own memory or thought, which is getting projected in as desires and manifested as something else, which seems so real that till the time you are in the dream, you never take it as unreal. So how can a person who is in dream know that it is unreal unless it comes out of the dream? Unless it is the awareness is there in the dream to see that it is unreal. So while the dream is going on, it is always real. It is always real, unless awareness is there. Similarly, when the waking state is there, it is always real, because there is no way like we can say that dream is unreal, because we have the earlier memory of the waking state. But when we are in the waking state, where is the earlier memory of your existence, which can differentiate that no, you are not right now also in a dreamlike state? So that cannot be known in the waking state unless somebody tells you that whatever is being experienced in the waking state is as unreal as dream. They are similar in some manner and they are different in some manner. They are similar in the sense that both are memory, both are, I mean, they are just different forms of memory. One form of memory in dream is, we can say, the individual memory, and in the waking state, it is universal memory or a bigger set of memory. So, if a person in the waking state somehow, with the grace, with logic, with the experience and logic, and with the grace of the Guru, sees this subtle difference that this memory, this waking state is also a state of memory, then the division starts disappearing. Then there is hardly any confusion of whether the experience and experiencer are different, because whatever memory, good, bad, subtle, gross, they still remains the memory. It can exist, it can come, it can go. Like, we can easily see that the memory, if the memory lapse is there, that doesn't mean I am not there. I don't remember what I have eaten 5 years back as the breakfast. but I was there at that point of time eating the breakfast. That means the memory is not there. I cannot recall that event, but I was there. So, what is this I? So, when you understand this unity at the level of the individual, you can project the same logic at the level of experiencer. Although it is not at all right to project what is being as an individual view to the experiencer, because it is beyond logic, beyond intellect, beyond words. It just is. So it is always at this point, it is better to surrender. I think there are certain messages which has come. Rajiv has said here a basic ignorance, basic most ignorance works, which is all that which can be sensed or logically understood is real. So, what is reality of real and unreal? Once these criteria of reality are removed, it will start to become clear. Yes, you are right, Rajiv. Meera has said that, like wave and ocean, experiencer and experiencer, both are different at duality level, but at non duality, both are water. Very true. That's what we discussed. Still, experience is changing and experience is unchanging. You are right. This difference that experience is changing and experiencer is not changing is there in the duality. But in non-duality, it is illogical to say either this statement that they are one or they are two. It is just beyond words. It is unknowable. Madhvi has said that screen movie also is a good example. Yes, very true. Screen does not change, only movie is changing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can extend this example, Madhvi, to another level that it is one way is that the screen is there, which is not changing, and the images appearing on the screens are changing. So they are at the level of duality. But just imagine that the screen itself has become the images. Whatever the material of which the images are made is same as the screen. So we have to now understand that the screen itself is the experiences, changing experiences, which is the illusion, which appears in the form of illusion, because it is like air. Air, if it is condensed, you say it is one individual, whereas when it is dispersed, whenever it is available, and it is experiencing itself, if it has the ability, so to say, just an imagination, that it can also have, it has consciousness or awareness to know itself, then it becomes very clear that the screen itself is experiencing itself as different variety of experiences as illusion, but it has never become two. They are one and the same. I think we can stop here for today. In case anybody has questions, you are always free to ask. And I mean, Ashu has said one, given one comment. I think the great task is mind in the unknown state. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very right. Is this really possible? The mind in the okay, you're asking a question. Is this really possible? The mind in the unknown state. So what you are saying, ki whether it is possible that mind exists, but it is not known. I think in the non-dual state, we can say that mind exists and it is not known. And in the duality, whenever we come, whatever is being experienced is mind. Actually, mind is not the right word because mind is normally interpreted as a word which is related to the individual. But if you are talking about the memory, the chitta, which we call it in Hindi, then yes, whatever it can never happen that the memory is never experienced. Whatever experiences are happening is only the memory or the vibrations. So if you have to say that experience is happening is only because the vibration is there or the memory is there. But when you come to an individual and then we try to answer your question at the individual level of a person and the mind. So what is a person? It is only a mind. Now what if the mind is there but it is not experienced? See, it happens. We have to see that there are different categories in the mind. There are boundaries in the mind which are imaginary, and sometimes some portion of the mind is experienced and the other portion of the mind is absent. But it can never happen that mind is totally absent. Then somebody will say that in the sleep, mind is not there. No, no. The mind is still there. The mind is being experienced. Only the memory of what the experiences were in the deep sleep is not relevant in the waking state and so different from the waking state that they are not remembered when you wake up. So I think this is the way I understand it. If somebody has a better explanation, most welcome. Ashu has further written that chitta is the storehouse of knowledge. Yeah, yeah. But see, knowledge also has two aspects. One, that which is coming through the words, through the senses, and the one which is not coming through the words and the senses. Now, what is that knowledge? That knowledge is you. That knowledge itself is the, I mean, you know you exist. Now, that doesn't need any senses or words to say that I exist. Even a dog knows that it exists. How it knows that I exist? It never questions it. It does not have that, perhaps it does not have that intellect to question that what is this which is experiencing the whole others. So that existence, that thing which exists as me, as I, as knowledge, is the existence itself. I mean, in Hindi, there is a Mahavakya which is called Pragyanam Brahman, meaning that that which knows itself is the existence. Now, this is again in Hindi, it is called Lakshan Vakya, meaning it is an indication of what is there in the existence. We have to explore it, that why it is called Pragyanam Brahman. And I think in Shiv Sutra it is called Jnanam Bandham. That means the knowledge is the bondage. See how contradiction. One side you are saying Pragyanam Brahman, and other side you are saying that Jnanam Bandham. The knowledge itself is a bondage. So I think we have to go deep into this to understand it. Maybe in the next session. But briefly, I can what I know about it is that if there is a knowledge, and in that knowledge there is an effort, then that knowledge is a bondage. But if there is a knowledge which does not have any effort, that knowledge itself is the existence, because nothing exists if it is not known. And if it is known, then it is existing. So we can't separate between knowledge and existence. They are one and the same. But when a person thinks, when an individual thinks that I know, that is the bondage. When it thinks that I know something, it is by by default excluding so many other things that which is not known to him or which cannot be known to him. So the best answer is that it is unknowable. You should not get caught up in the words. Let us try to savor, I mean, just be in the bliss which is there as the existence, as the knowledge of myself, as being the myself, not as an object, not as in body, even not as in mind, not as in thought, not as in memory, but the one who is experiencing them. I mean, one who is experiencing this whole drama, the one who is experiencing this whole play. I mean, we have to play the role very beautifully in the drama. Even if when we know it is a drama, it's not that we don't play that role with less intensity. Rather, I mean, there are persons who play the role to such an extent that they are they just can't disassociate with that role. And if you are playing the role of a king, and after the drama is over, you still, I mean, wear the costume and walk on the road that I am the king, then you are a fool. And that's what is happening. That we are not leaving the costumes. We are just keeping those costumes as me, which we have been playing in the drama. I mean, these words, these type of sentences you might have heard so many times, but just contemplate on them. Just be with them. Don't seek answers, because the one who is seeking answer, just seek that. The one who is thinking, just seek that. The one who is knowing, just know that. The one who is unchanged, just be in it. So I think we can stop here for today. And thank you so much for joining in. And if the I mean there are more questions in English, we will have it next Friday or otherwise. As and when there are certain queries, we will keep engaging in these type of talks. Else, we will have our regular Hindi satsang on every Saturday at 7. So, see you tomorrow morning. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thanks a lot.